All right, man. Here we go. We back with another Madam Nimwire video, and it's about stealthing, which is taking the condom off without permission, and we'll go through it. Here we go. Oh shit.
There are so many ways to violate people that some are still being categorized. Stealthing is an example. Don't recognize the term? Sadly, you may have experienced it and not even known. Our topic is super heavy today, guys, but it's one that needs to be discussed. Listen to Black Woman is starting now. Stealthing is non-consensual condom removal. It is morally wrong and widely considered a form of sexual assault. Some countries, like Germany, have made it illegal. In the United States, bills have been proposed to formally criminalize the act. Sadly, because stealthing happens in the confines of a consensual relationship, it isn't often discussed. That's why today's topic is meant to shed light on one of the biggest and criminal betrayals that can happen to a man or a woman. Here's why stealthing is sexual assault.
I was so sure they were going to act as if it only happened to him. Thank you for being honest, and is that at least up till now. Thank you.
Africa, what are your thoughts on stealthing?
Well, honestly, Shamika, I'm so glad that you made the point and made it clear to our viewers that it happens to both genders. So this isn't something that exclusively happens, to us.
I'm almost ready to quit the video.
And, research has found that it happens in all types of like sexual relationships, both hetero and homosexual ones. And it can be hookups, like long-term relationships, like marriages. So this is something that is quietly happening to a lot of people. And now it's becoming a part of like a more mainstream conversation.
Who doesn't know about stealthing, though? I mean, I'm sure maybe you don't know the term because I wasn't really familiar with the term when I read the title. But you don't know that people will remove the condom by now? What positions are you putting yourself in where you don't even know that the person isn't wearing the condom? Seriously. Like, all you got to do is you can look down there, you can feel down there, anything. I've never been in a situation where a woman could just take the condom off when I didn't know. And if you can't tell that the condom isn't on when you're drunk or high, you probably don't want to mix anti-sobriety with sex.
And it's definitely a dirty form of sexual assault because to even become intimate with a partner, you already have to have trust and vulnerability. And this is a huge betrayal within the confines of that trust. And there are also mental health issues that can arise when you're sexually assaulted, which can lead to suicidal thoughts, nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety, stress, all things that are a consequence of this betrayal.
All right. I'm willing to say that it's a form of assault, a form of it. But to say that it leads to suicidal thoughts and all that, really... Now, the only time that could happen, I'll say maybe if they gave you AIDS, herpes, or just anything in that nature. But if nothing happened, I'm not saying it makes it right, but if nothing happened, then I seriously doubt you're going to be that mentally affected by it. You might not want to sleep around anymore, but you're not sitting here thinking, I want to kill myself because, man, she slipped the condom off and I ain't know.
At the end of the day, when someone opts into stealthing, you are exchanging someone's safety and sense of self just for your pleasure.
Yeah, you mentioned safety and all these other things, but condoms also prevent pregnancy. So if you remove a condom without someone knowing, you can get this person pregnant. I'm interested to see what people on social media had to say. One tweeter wrote, "Stealthing is actually rape, period." Okay, so here is a real interesting conversation.
I just can't get over this.
How far do we want to put this on the spectrum of sexual assault?
Well, I think that, I know that people that this has happened to, and I think the whole issue with stealthing is that this isn't a man and a woman, going into like a sexual moment and he's saying, well, I don't want to wear a condom, and she's saying, okay, or no, and he's forcing her. These are two people that are agreeing on a type of a sexual encounter, and one person or the other is taking that choice away. So, if you look at it in those terms, it is a version of assault, and it is a version, I think, of rape. And I know that almost sounds uncomfortable to say, but when you think about people that are maybe quietly suffering with this happening to them and not having the words for it, it's time to start
They've admitted that it happens to both, but what are the courts going to rule? Who are they going to rule for? We already know that the courts will not rule against a woman who that she didn't, slip the condom off the guy, but they still rule in her favor. But even the situation where the guy, I believe they're rare, but they're relevant, where the guy will use the condom, put it in the trash, not the toilet, and she injects herself. Even if that's proven, we know that the judge is not going to rule against the female. So technically, stealthing, even though that on this show they've admitted, society has not admitted that is something that happens to men.
Normalizing that conversation and recognizing that rape can have different forms.
I think that's fair too, because in any sexual encounter, consent can be withdrawn at any time. Consent isn't just, hey, do you want to have sex? Yes. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Like at any point, someone can say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want this.
Right.
So under the definition that would fall into rape, even though for some people they might be like, that's extreme. Yeah. But if at any point someone does something without your consent, at that point, that encounter becomes rape.
I think I'm one of those people who are like, oh my God, that feels extreme. Yeah. But, hearing other perspectives about it, I can see more of that. Princess Delfogue wrote, can we also talk about removing condoms during sex after consenting to sex with condoms? You know that's rape if you do not ask and inform your partner.
Exactly. Because that's really the issue. And I think that's why conversations like this are important, because it's also, I don't think that some of the men that are doing this are sitting here going like, I'm stalking this woman to go rape her and attack her. In their mind, it might just be like, oh, well, I wanted to, they wanted to take it off. And the issue is that if she didn't agree to that, then it's a problem. So getting people to understand exactly what consent is. It's more than just a yes, like you said. It's a rolling yes. And if you decide that you want to change the type of sex that's
okay, for all those people that are thinking like me and not knowing the exact definition of rape, we're all wrong. So I'm going to read it. Rape is a type of sexual assault, usually involving sexual intercourse or other forms of sexual penetration, carried out against a person without that person's consent. The act may be carried out by physical force, coercion, abuse of authority, or against a person who is incapable of giving valid consent, such as one who is unconscious, incapacitated, has the intellectual disability, or is below the legal age of consent. Now, I read that because people like me is just like, rape is when you just like lay down, this is happening. That's, what I mean? So, yeah, that stealthing would fit the definition of rape. So that's that.
Happening while you're having sex, you need to say, hey, is it okay if I take off the condom? Not just take it off and hope for the best.
I'm interested to see what the people in our audience have to say. Kiara, the polls, please.
As always, we took to our MadameNoire.com audience to find out what you think about stealthing and if you've unfortunately been a victim of this form of assault. We asked you all about your experiences with stealthing, with 14% of you saying a partner has taken off a condom during sex without telling you. 4% of you said that a partner lied to you about having a condom on. 4% of you said both
No,
A and B.
none of
and
the
78% said none of the above. What's interesting is upon first look, you might see some.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wouldn't this make I'm on birth control not rape? Wouldn't that be rape? If I think that's rape, and I've been raped before. So, are they going to support that form of, charge against a woman who lies about being on birth control? Can we send them to jail? Because that's rape. If this is rape, that's rape.
50% haven't experienced it. Great, stealthing's not a thing. But that more speaks to you may not be having condom usage in your sexual encounters to have ever
had this be an issue. Yeah.
Right. And so the question is more of how many people who use condoms in their sexual health practices have experienced it. Because if you're out here being raw, you're probably not going to encounter stealthing. You can't. Yeah. We asked, have you ever contracted an STD from a person who was persistent about having unprotected sex with you? With 82% saying no and 18% saying yes. Wow. Which is just even more tragic, because if you're someone who practices safe sex,
1 out
do
of
that
10
to not get pregnant, to not get STDs.
That's two.
That definitely shows why it's even
too.
more of a human violation against your body. Let's just round this up because at the end of the day, I think it comes down to.
But why was that a question though? Because yeah, they may have like begged you to go raw and gave you an STD, but you still let them go raw without the test. That's still your fault though. Like, yeah, they're wrong for passing it to you, obviously, but you're still dumb.
There being miscommunication about what consent means.
Yeah.
And it's important to point out there's not laws protecting us from things like stealthing, at least not globally.
Right.
And also,
Yes, it is.
it just gets
You
fuzzy
just
when
said
it
it.
comes to when someone says yes, when someone says no, and when you have the agency to withdraw that yes or that no.
Right, because it is a hard situation because the whole thing about stealthing is that it's consensual. This isn't an attack from a stranger, and for whatever party that's in there, they're going to feel some sort of responsibility because you're like, well, I'm already in this, and then it happens. So whose fault is it really? His fault? And it's like you said, it's such a gray area because then what do you report if there's no law? Like I had never even heard the term stealthing until maybe on Twitter, maybe about 4 years ago, and I was like, oh wow, like you don't realize. And then when you start talking to people, and so many people were sharing, and I've talked to people about it, it's absolutely happening, but we're now just starting to get the words for it, and I think that's for men and women.
Absolutely, and I think that's why conversations like this are so important because I'm sure there's people in our audience now who are hearing that and they're like, oh my God, I've been assaulted.
Yes, or men that are like, oh, I did do that to
assaulted
some, right.
someone. And that can be very disorientating and confusing. And for the men on that side, they may feel attacked. Like, well, she consented to having sex with me. Yeah. How is it that the way we're having sex all of a sudden is in question or can...
All right, that's actually a good point because I'm pretty sure that stealthing also often gets confused with the chick just didn't feel comfortable to say something, speak her mind. And what I'm saying is like, if a dude is having sex with a chick and then he's just like, man, fuck this, I'm taking it off. But she might not want him to, but she's, that classic, I just didn't speak up because I didn't think that I was just too scared. So that could be, they could claim that that's stealthing, even though it's not. But that is a tricky situation that you can end up in. So
put me in legal trouble. And for the women, they may be questioning, well, how far can I take this? Can I press charges? Should I have pressed charges? Feeling guilt about should I?
No, you can't press charges 5 years
women
later.
who've experienced this that I have talked to, they feel frozen in the situation because you did want to have sex with him, you just didn't want to have sex with him that way. Yeah,
and that's really, I think, an important point to bring up is that consent is about choice. And when you are someone that does this act of stealthing to another person, you're taking away their choice on how they want to protect their own body. You're taking away their choice of an unwanted pregnancy, of any type of STD. And so that's such a dangerous thing to take away another person's choice. And
I just want to point out that it's kind of weird that, when you put a condom on, you're actually admitting that, this person might be dirty, but I'm going to go ahead. It's so weird that we do that as human beings. This person could have the death semen, but I'm going to have sex with him anyway. So what?
Agency, because if you're having sex with someone, even if it is casual, you're still trusting them in that moment. There is trust. Yeah. And you're playing on that trust that they have, as you said, for their own pleasure. And that's very dangerous.
And so many women who I've talked to about this situation, they talk about the fear that occurs in the moment when this is happening. When you find out that you have been violated, it's that moment of, do I say something? Do I not say something? Is my life in danger? Because if I do say something, is he going to get upset? And that's when it occurs to me that, okay, this is really closer to rape than I imagined.
All right, Shamika, take us home. We've been talking a lot.
Yes, this is simple. Stealthing is a violation. If it happens to you, it's not your fault. Talk to your partner about the layers of consent. Men, ask first and listen. Guys, until another episode.
What did she just say?
Women,
we've been talking a lot.
Yes, this is simple. Stealthing is a violation. If it happens to you, it's not your fault. Talk to your partner about the layers of consent. Men, ask first and listen. Guys, until another...
We just said, how many times do we say it happens to men too? And then you just singled out men with his clothes out? God. Not only is her weave bad, she's also annoying. I'm out.